Hey everybody, welcome back. This is another Manchild review. I'm Dave Herndon, the Manchild.
Honorary Manchild David Comer here. And Dave, we're talking about Looper. What a movie.
What a movie. We checked it out a couple days ago. We were going to do one of our quick hit reviews right away afterwards, but I think we both kind of had to let it germinate, let it ruminate, think about it. Yeah. I'm still not entirely sure what happened.
You know, it's a time travel movie that's set in the future, but the time travel, for the most part, goes on in a future,
the movie is set in an indeterminate future.
Indeterminate future, right.
But then the time travel, even in that time, has not yet been invented.
Right.
Yet in the future, at least 30 years into the future, it has been invented, but apparently it only works one way. Because they send people back, nobody goes forward.
Right.
It's a little iffy, but basically the concept is that Joseph Gordon-Levitt is playing a young Bruce Willis in Today, which is today in the movie, not today. But he's a looper. Well, loopers are assassins. Mm-hmm. They kill people from the future because in the future it's really hard to dispose of a body.
Right, and also... the reason he would even consider doing such a thing is you look at the 1% and the 99%, there's been a lot of talk about that, obviously, in the last year. Well, in this scenario, pretty much there's probably a 1% is pretty much anyone who's not living on the streets. Pretty much like the world has turned pretty much into a squalor type living condition where you've got people on the streets, you've got really like, it's almost this. Either the rich or the criminal are the only ones enjoying a nice way of life for the most part. And not to say that's everybody, but for the intents and purposes of this story, it's most people. And it affords Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character a chance at the good life. And he drives a sports car. He loves to dress up. But he aspires to something more.
Unfortunately, the one condition to this job is that eventually you're going to have to kill yourself.
It's called closing your own loop.
They send the 30-year-older you back in time. You don't know who it is because they've got a bag over their head. Their hands are bound behind their backs. You shoot them, and then when you cut open the money package that came back with them, you find a golden payout,
right? Which
basically means you've just closed your loop. You've killed yourself, and now from that day forward, you have exactly 30 years to live.
And you're free to go. You get to do whatever you want. And what I thought was really neat was you got to see the timeline for Bruce Willis, who plays the old version of Joseph Gordon-Levitt, as if to say what would happen, after he took this buyout and closed his own loop. And they give you little flash forward snippets of him going through the years. And also, by the way, big props to the CGI of Joseph Gordon-Levitt's face. Oh, really made him look like a young Bruce Willis.
You couldn't tell that his face had been altered, but he also...
But it didn't even look like him. It looked like a different actor.
He looked enough like himself that you knew who it was, but he looked enough like Bruce Willis that it's believable that he would be Bruce Willis's son or something.
Right.
Or a young Bruce Willis, as the movie wanted you to believe.
Amazing.
That part was amazing. I loved the way they did the time travel, and the one looper who we saw not close his own loop, that let his loop escape, and how we saw they captured the younger version and started cutting body parts off, and you just see them disappearing on the older version. I thought that was a really interesting way to introduce us to the mechanics of time travel in the universe.
Right. The only it's funny. This is going to come from left field, but it almost made me think of the movie Frequency, just for a second, with Dennis Quaid and Jim Caviezel. Just though another time travel thing, but you're looking at someone in the past writing a note to someone in the future who's seeing it kind of like scrawl out before them.
Except this time it's on your body.
Right, and it's pretty much nothing good.
But I thought that was really interesting. The other part I thought was really interesting is the way Bruce Willis's character described his memories and why he didn't always know exactly what the Joseph Gordon-Levitt character was going to do. Because while he still had his memories, they were his own memories from the 30 years. They were cloudy until they actually came to pass. And if the younger version actually did something different than he had, then his memory disappeared, and the memory of what actually had happened is all that remained. So we got to see whether or not Bruce Willis would get to remember his wife. It's like, oh, well, show me her picture, and I'll just never meet her, and then this will never happen.
And Bruce Willis is hoping to come back, get out of being killed, and at the same time go find someone known as the Rainmaker, who's in charge of the entire criminal syndicate at that point, in 30 years into the future, and he's hoping to kill him as a child. And so obviously he's got a lot to do, let alone getting out of the line of fire of Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who's completely planning on killing him.
He's still very insistent that I'm going to close my loop and enjoy my 30 years. You've had your life. Get out of the way and let me have mine. So
once Bruce Willis kind of escapes, you get to see kind of a cat and mouse chase, and really, I mean, just completely, just such a neat movie.
And that play was really interesting because while Bruce Willis needed to get away to do his thing, he couldn't really hurt the younger version of himself because
it's going to happen to him.
If he hurt the younger version of himself, he hurt himself.
Right.
So he couldn't decapacitate or do any permanent damage because he'd just be hurting himself. So the younger version wants to kill the older version, but the older version has to keep the younger version safe. It was a really interesting interplay. I really enjoyed the movie. The female lead, who I don't recall her name off the top of my head, Emily Blunt, thank you. She did an excellent job with her role as the mother to the Rainmaker. I don't want to go too far into depth on that. I don't want to ruin too much of the story. We're staying pretty much completely out of the last act of the movie with this review. But overall, my final thoughts is, while I've seen some reviews that mention this as, the science fiction movie of a generation, I wouldn't go quite that far. It is possibly the best science fiction movie I've seen this year.
And it's definitely one of the best in the genre, I'd say, probably in the last 10 years easily.
I would go that far to say one of the best. I'm never going to say the best. But it was an excellent movie. I'm going to give it overall an A. I can't go...
It's an A. Forget about it.
I can't find a reason to give it marks off more than in very, very minute things that I'd pick apart any movie I like.
And one of the best ways to look at it is with any great sci-fi story, the science fiction or the futuristic element is just a backdrop to what's actually going on. And elements of it may play up a role. But again, it really didn't kind of overshadow the story. You knew you were in the future, but what a great conceit for a film, and really a surprising ending. And I just really everything you want from a sci-fi movie. Makes you think. It also confuses you, which is also. But again, you're not going to get lost watching it. This is not Terrence Malick, and you're not watching Brad Pitt. So with Tree of Life, but again, just can't recommend this enough.